Thank you everybody for being here. And I would love to walk you through from the grand stage of what was discussed before, a little bit local into what's happening in Israel, but also with a reference into the region. All right, so I'm very happy to say that almost half of you are not as familiar with Israel as the other half. We have so many international guests and partners, so that's very exciting. So I will bring everybody up to speed. Israel, we're not as small as we once were, so 9.5 million-ish population puts us around the top 100 in population, so not as small, and growing. We still have immigration coming to Israel, all sorts of immigration, some of it refugees, some of it is higher economic deciles coming into Israel, and a very strong economy, as was echoed by the ambassador. We are a top 20 economy, we are an OECD country, and that reflects on all the business sectors here in Israel, technology, and of course, business aviation. Israel, for a long time, was considered an island country, not so much because of geography, but because of geopolitics, if you like. But again, as was also mentioned before, less so than before, with the additional countries around us in the region that we can now go freely, that we have peace accords with, and especially with the Abraham peace accords. And it's a very exciting time to be in this region. And I want to state that with the UAE especially, it's the most warmest relationship that we have with the countries around us. And it is, again, very exciting. From a personal experience, and a lot of us have gone to Dubai, to Abu Dhabi, to the region, and you just feel at home, and also by the example of so many guests and friends that arrived here today and are here today in the conference from the UAE. It's great. We still have a ways to go. We want to see more, but I think we are in the right direction, and it brings about a lot of regional opportunities into business aviation as well. We have to go into numbers, so we'll do it brief, but I do think it's interesting. Israel is not as small as we noted in terms of population. It's also not as small in terms of business aviation fleet. We're talking about business jets. We're not talking about prop-driven aircraft, and we're also not talking about helicopters at the moment. Pure business jets, everything from small, older, however very popular Hawkers, and all the way up to even a Beezliner, and everything in between. Our fleet, when I say 78, it means aircraft that are mostly based in Israel, but also aircraft that are heavily tied to Israel, even if their base is not always here. But it doesn't account for, a FlexJet or a Vista that arrives here and parks quite often. In terms of a fleet mix, we have 3 main OEMs that have a large chunk of the market, where Textron, with a combination of the Citation and the Hawkers, is the most dominant OEM within the fleet, followed closely by Bombardier and by Gulfstream. The fleet mix in terms of type is also interesting. It's more tended toward the larger aircraft, so from super mid-size and all the way up to larger, not so much small aircraft. I believe that has to do a lot with our island-ish location. In terms of prospect, I'm going to go a bit out on a limb here, and I hope this ages well, but let's go for it. I'm not going to talk about the global market prospect for business aviation. We have Tzipora, our friend from ACAS, and she's going to give us a wonderful brief about what it is that we should expect in terms of the global prospect for business aviation. And Israel is going to be impacted by that, and it's part of that completely. However, there are some internal drivers that are unique to Israel that will impact as well. What you see here is the growth of the Israeli business jet fleet over the last 4 or 5 years. And we see a gradual growth and a big growth during the Corona, and back to a gradual growth. And that's me going out on a limb, we believe growth will continue. We don't think it will be a very strong growth, but growth nonetheless. And there are several factors that contribute to that. First off, there's a lot of user community growth in Israel. When I say user, I mean the wider definition of user, from charter users, fractional users, jet card users, first-time owners, and of course, long-time aircraft owners. So we see a local growth in high net worth individuals that this type of transportation becomes accessible. And we also see external coming in immigration of high net worth individuals. Israel was one of the top countries in millionaires added in 2022, according to some researchers, and that supports the user growth within Israel. Despite commercial aviation, coming back into closer to what it was pre-COVID, it's not exactly yet there, and therefore there are some gaps in services where business aviation is still the go-to solution. It's a business tool that everywhere in the world, also here in Israel, we will continue to use. We actually believe that those users that went into business aviation during the COVID period, a lot of them has remained and are contributing to this growth. We also think that the challenges or the headwinds that the market might see will cause a correction in some types, in some aircraft, in terms of pricing. And we actually think that, there's also an opportunity there for attractive pre-owned aircraft opportunities, especially with long lead times that the OEMs are currently showing, which is a great thing for the OEMs. Israel has some anomalies as far as our business aviation fleet is showing. First of all, the type mix, like I mentioned, compared to the rest of the world, much more larger aircraft rather than smaller ones. Like I said, I believe that has to do with the quote-unquote island, not so much now, geopolitics of the region. Also, we have a very high ratio of business jets per capita, more so than most countries in the world. Definitely, we believe in the top 5, but it's definitely in the top 10. And that's also very unique to Israel. And another set of anomalies are we have, despite the vibrant business aviation community and the large growing fleet, we have an infrastructure that is lagging behind. We have gaps in infrastructure, and that's concerning and needs to be addressed. And another interesting tidbit is that the vast majority of aircraft in Israel are not for X-ray registered. The vast majority are Mikes, Isle of Man, Tango 7s, and of course Novembers. What it all means? It means that Israel has a vibrant business aviation community and fleet, and that's expected to grow. And we believe that while we will be impacted by the global trends that will be presented shortly, we do have our drivers for potential growth in this year, into 2024. This also means that there will be a lot of opportunities. We believe we'll see more transactions, either people selling their aircraft or people looking for opportunities to buy once a market correction has happened. We are avid believers in the potential for vertical takeoff lift for rotary wing solutions in Israel. It's a prime market for growth that we've seen in business jets, and we're going to start seeing in helicopters, and we're very bullish on helicopters, and we believe there are also opportunities, like I said, in MRO, in parts, and in supporting infrastructure. Thank you very much.